Dante Moore is one of the most natural and purest passers in college football, but he has a ton to prove before the 2027 NFL Draft.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I'm Damian Parson. That's Keith Sanchez. And on today's episode, we're taking Dante Moore, Oregon quarterback, underneath the scouting lens for summer scouting. We're going to explain the grade, talk about his concerns that we have for him. But let's kick this thing off with Dante Moore's pros. Dante Moore is listed at 6'3", about 205, 210 pounds, coming off a season where he completed 71.8% of his passes, thrown for 3,565 passing yards and 32 total touchdowns. Keith, I said it in the opening. I'm going to say it again, and I'll kick it to you. Dante Moore is one of the most natural and purest passers in college football. I don't know if going back to Oregon was the right decision. We'll get to that a little bit later. But one of the most natural and purest passers in college football. Keith, what stood out to you positively on the film?
Yeah, and when you say purest passers, I think another phrase, right, is that natural thrower of the football, right? Just when it comes down to mechanics and release and timing, he has the prototype release that you would teach, right? And just arm follow through all of it, right? Like this is what you would want to teach, is what you coach, right? For it to look this type of way. So with Dante Moore, DP, I'll take that, and then I'll go to some of the numbers you talked about, right? 71.8% completion percentage. To me, that leads to accuracy. And when he's on the money, when it comes down to accuracy and ball placement, he ranks up there with some of the best, right? And you see it when he throws the football. So I look at those things, DP, as far as when you watch him operate, and when his feet are married with, his arm and his release and everything, right? Like everything, the lower body is married with the upper body. You see a really accurate quarterback that's decisive, that makes decisions and gets the football out and throws a catchable football. So to me, is accuracy and ball placement as far as one of his top traits.
No, 100%. I think that's his superpower, Keith, is that accuracy. And for me, I jotted down, accuracy in and out of the pocket. Like if you're talking about protecting him, and he has a clean pocket, and he's sitting back there, being able to survey the field and throw without being rushed, without being pressured, there's accuracy. But if you do flush him out and you see him on the move, you see accuracy out of the pocket as well. I think there's a high football IQ quarterback that plays with the low post for the most part. For the most part, he's an unflappable guy in terms of you don't really see him sped up a lot. He plays at his pace, and he trusts his offensive line. But if you flush him out, he doesn't look overwhelmed, to where it's just like ton of bad decisions and putting the ball in harm's way. Like he stays very sound to that, right? And also got has sneaky athleticism. Like he's a more mobile guy than he alludes to. He does not use his legs a ton, but when he does invoke them, you see that he can use his legs to create those extend plays, create those second reaction throwing his situations, press it, like climbing up the pocket, right, and threatening the line of scrimmage and making that linebacker in zone coverage have to make a decision. Where it's like, hey, are you going to let me break the line of scrimmage on 3rd and 5 and get the 5, or are you going to crash the line of scrimmage, leave that void in the defense, and now I can hit my receiver that just settled into the spot that you vacated. So he gives you a little bit of that as well. He's not a dual threat quarterback, but he's mobile and more than functional, more than above average from a mobility standpoint, Keith. And that's really what you look for in a quarterback nowadays. I think, like you talked about, because that's one of the things I jotted down too, was the quick. He has a nice compact release and everything, to where when the blitz and stuff is trying to get to him, he's able to get the ball out efficiently within rhythm. And it's just, I love to see guys that are sound mechanically, because you are able to maximize your time in the pocket and maximize the protection from the offensive line. When your mechanics aren't right, you're wasting time trying to get set to throw and get your arm angle right and things of that nature, where a guy like Dante Moore, like he's pretty quick to get ready and lined up and loaded to throw. And I love when guys are able to do that.
Yeah, no, that to me translates, I think, also to that the IQ part of it, right? That when he's right, the whole entire process is a fluid. It's a, you know, 1, 2, 3 situation to where you're watching really high level quarterback play. So I would probably throw IQ in there too. That when he gets it right, DP, and he's able to pre-snap, post-snap, understand what's going on. He's able to, you know, diagnose it pre-snap and then understand post-snap. It's a good looking process for him, and probably why you hit to at the top of the show, right? When we're talking about, hey, if he should go back or not. Because there are moments where you say, wait, this is NFL level, NFL caliber quarterbacking that Dante was doing.
No, 100%. I mean, I think, you know, you see him, he handles edge pressure well, where like his back foot hits in the drop and that edge pressure collapses. He does a good job climbing, rip through, and then vacating and getting out the pocket. And then you see the ability to extend that play. He keeps his eyes down the field once he's out of the pocket. And then again, it's just all about making the business decision. Defender, are you going to give me the 5 yards, 5 to 7 or 10? Or are you going to try and come up and take me away? And then that opens up my, you know, I mean, heck, you go back to the game against Penn State. He did that right on the game winning throw. Got pressure off the edge on the road inside. It was like second overtime, so double overtime and everything. So they're in the second overtime, and he climbs up and you know, throws it to the open guy. But if you don't have pocket mobility, you don't have the instincts and the IQ to step up to evade that pressure, you're not going to get that ball to that guy up the field, because that allowed your receiver to catch and run. There's nobody around him. You hit him with timeliness, and now it's the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, as far as the mobility, do you, when you're projecting to the next level, right, the NFL level, do you think there's room to invoke his running ability into
the offense?
Into the offense? Or do you think it's more utilize your mobility to escape?
Yeah, I think it's more pocket mobility, utilize your ability to escape the pressure more than, like, you know, when we talk about Damian Mensah, I think Mensah is the type of athlete that I could run some QB zone reads and things like that. Well, I'm not doing it a ton and stuff like that, because again, it's not just a straight line speed. It's like, okay, in the NFL, you got to make guys miss consistently, things like that. I don't want to expose my. And if you're not a Josh Allen who's like 255 pounds, you know, a Lamar Jackson, a Cam Newton, things like that, I don't really want you running a ton, you know, manufactured wise, or you're Tim Tebow, right? And that's all we can do with you, and we can make it work. Like, if you're built like that, cool. Or if you have the elusiveness like a Lamar Jackson or Jaden Daniels, where you can avoid the hits, fine. But I wouldn't utilize Dante Moore in that regard. I would tell him, hey, you're not a sitting duck in the pocket. And I would remind him of that. And I would say, to put it into a tier or threshold, Keith, his athleticism, I think I brought up about Damian Mensah, but it's more so like the usage of the athleticism. He's more of a CJ Stroud type of athlete, where solid athlete, like, you know, in terms of like, hey, like, he can make some things happen with his feet. Like, you've seen CJ evade pressure numerous of times over his 3-year career in Houston, then make a throw down the field. But you're not going to see 100-yard, 150-yard rushing performance from CJ Stroud, and you're not going to get that from Dante Moore either. It's just efficient, like efficiency in the pocket, utilizing that mobility to where, hey, if that edge pressure, if my tackles are struggling, he's the type of quarterback that can neutralize that with his ability to step up if you protect him on the interior.
Yeah, I agree with DP. Let's do this, man. I think it was really good discussing the pros, right? The assets that Dante Moore brings to a college offense and will bring to an NFL offense. But, you know, when people look at it, be like, okay, there's a reason why he decided to go back, right? And I think for both of us, we've probably seen some of that on the film, potentially. So I want to discuss that. What are the concerns about Dante Moore? What are the parts that he has to elevate his game? I want to discuss that coming up next.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Summer is supposed to be the season everyone looks forward to. Vacations, longer days, more time outside, more plans with family and friends. But for a lot of people, summer can also feel surprisingly overwhelming. Schedules get packed, routines change, and sometimes it feels like you're trying to do everything at once instead of enjoying the season. That's why it's important to make time for yourself too, and therapy can help you create a version of the summer that feels manageable and enjoyable. It's easy to say yes to everything and forget to slow yourself down. With over 30,000 therapists and more than 6 million people served worldwide, BetterHelp makes it easy to get matched with a licensed therapist based on your needs and preferences. And if the match doesn't feel right, you can switch at any time. You don't have to say yes to everything this summer. Find support in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/lockedon. That's betterhelp.com/lockedon. Before we break down the concerns for Oregon quarterback Dante Moore, get your daily Locked On NFL draft fix completely ad-free by joining the Everydayer Club today. Start your 7-day free trial right now and get closer to us, your favorite NFL draft analysts, without the interruptions. Click the link in the show notes or go to LockedOnNFLDraft.supercast.com to claim your free trial. Keith, the concerns. We always talk about the ups. We talk about the downs on this podcast. And I think for me, Keith, the limited starting experience, I'll start there. It shows up at times, right? Where you see a young quarterback who hasn't started a bunch of games and hasn't seen everything in college football. It shows up with some post-snap coverage changes and, how, like, when you're facing some of the more complex defenses and stuff like that. I think you go to not the first matchup. Well, he struggled in both of them. He struggled against Indiana twice. But that first throw against Indiana in the playoffs, that second matchup in the playoffs, he throws a pick six, right? And it's more, I'll talk about it, confirming and denying, right? You got to be able to declare whether or not that guy is open and if that guy is not open. And he didn't do that against, it was D'Angelo Pons. D'Angelo Pons was playing all flat-footed. He read it and he broke on it. Right? But you got to be able to declare that quick enough post-snap to know, is this a vulnerable throw? In terms of, could it be intercepted? And when you're throwing those far hash sideline throws, those hitches, things, out routes, things like that, you got to be timely with it, and your location needs to be proper. Because if not, if it's anywhere behind or underthrown, that DB can make a play. And you saw that with D'Angelo Pons. So I think for me, Keith, that's where it starts for me, is more so the limited experience and handling and declaring, confirming and denying whether or not his guy is open. Because that's a big thing going to the NFL, right? Like we're going to, I've been talking about, for weeks, we're working on a big project over at Bleach Report where we're doing NFL scouting right now. And I'm watching, I got quarterbacks, running backs, receiver. I'm watching my guys. But I'm also watching these corners in the NFL, and I'm just like, and it's allowing me to be able to take that into my college scouting. I'm like, all right, you need to be able to be wary of Pat Surtain out there. You need to be wary of Quinyon Mitchell and his ability to flip and turn with guys. Cooper DeJean in the slot, like Christian Gonzalez. You need to be able to diagnose where they are so that you can be able to make the right decision when targeting them. Because those are the type of guys you target. It's timeliness when you target them, right? Like you don't want to throw 10 targets to Patrick Surtain. You don't want to test that well too many times. So that's how I look at it, Keith. Just to start off with the concerns.
Yeah, and you talked about the pre-snap, post-snap, and that ties into, my opinion, decision making and locking into a decision. And I think whenever he locked into a decision pre-snap, that's when he got in trouble. And I agree with you with the Indiana case, because when you watch the playback, right, and it's one thing to watch it live. I'm like, oh man, great play by D'Angelo Pons, right? Which hats off to him. And then you watch it back from an all-22 perspective. I caught myself asking myself, what were you looking at? Just because here what I'm saying is that in that play, it was more likely than not D'Angelo Pons, the greatest result for D'Angelo Pons happened as far as a pick six interception.
Yeah.
The next step was, in my opinion, what could have happened was an interception. And then the step after that was a PBU. So my point is that there were a lot of other things that could have happened before that was going to be a completion, just because of how D'Angelo Pons was playing that. And I don't know if you agree or not, right? But that's how I looked at it. I'm like, this probably wasn't going to work out. And the one other game that I seen the same exact thing, DP, was the Iowa game.
Yep.
And I watched him throw the ball into windows that I'm looking at, and I'm saying that's not open.
And that was an ugly game too. It was like raining heavy and all that. That was an ugly weather game.
Yeah, and I'm watching him try to fit the ball into windows where it's just like, and we praise wide receivers, right, for giving. I mean, we praise quarterbacks for giving wide receiver chances, one-on-one opportunities down the field. You got to know when to rip it, right? But we're not promoting throwing the ball into double coverage or when you have a corner underneath and a safety over top staring down at you. Like that's not what we're trying to say, to just go ahead and throw the football. That won't work. And you watched him do it. And I was like, you know what? I don't like you locked this in pre-snap that this is where you were going. Like you said, you know what? This is the play call. This is, you know what I'm saying? This is my, as far as my reads, I got 1, 2. I'm looking at 1 and 2 and I'm letting it rip. I think this is gonna be the touchdown. This is gonna be the high level play right here. And so I think that's the part with Dante Moore that he has to clean up. He has to have the ability to say, okay, pre-snap, this is what I want to do, but if it's not there, let me pull off and go through other stuff.
Yeah, no, 100. I'm completely with you with that. Like, you definitely feel like he's like I mean, I feel like probably all three of the guys we've talked about so far got that little bit in them where it's just like, I'm trusting my guy on this. It was like, it's not about trusting your guy. It's about knowing what this coverage looks like post snap.
Yeah,
and not sticking with that decision. Like that's what confirm it. Is it open? No. All right, cool. And I like how you broke that down, because literally when you were watching that playback, you're like, what were the chances that this was going to be complete?
Yeah,
like
that's why I watched. I'm like, that it was only probably like a 15% chance that you were going to start that game off and throw that curl route or that hitch route, whatever.
His eyes went straight to the hitch route. It didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't waste any time. He went straight to it, and he just ripped it. And I was just like, nope. And Deonzo Pons read his eyes on it. And I'm like, that's what good cornerbacks do. They read your eyes.
It made you think, DP, with that play, that how many times did Oregon run that play? Because he was flat-footed. He wasn't worried about a double.
It's like he was waiting on it. Like he was waiting on that.
Like
play.
He knew it. Yeah. And that's the part when I think you talk about these young quarterbacks, and we'll stick with Dante Moore, that he has to specifically understand that when you get to the next level, that's the type of game planning that's going to go into this, right? Like these corners, there's no more school. Their school is watching you week in and week out, right? So they're going to know your plays. They're going to know what's going on. And you're talking about high caliber athlete. D'Angelo Pons is 5'8", right? What happens when you get those 6 foot freak athletes, right? That are 6 foot, 195 pounds and run 4 threes, right? Like, so you're going to be going, and then they're savvy veterans now, right? So now they're even baiting you. So pre-snap, they're at 10 yards off. Then right before the ball is snapped, they're getting a 5, right? And it's
right, like they're getting ready to jump that hitch route. Like they're prepared for.
You have to be ready to adjust.
No, I like that, and great conversation. Because I think the other thing so let's talk about it. One of the big reasons why he went back to school, people said, well, because I think going into the playoffs, the only the game that people really weighed heavily was the first matchup with Indiana. You're at home, things like that. And Fernando outplayed you late in that game, right? Clutch moments, stuff like that. Now against Iowa, like you talked about, it was an ugly game. He made some bad decisions that he clutched up and made probably one of the better, more elite throws in terms of accuracy and ball placement down the sideline to put them in range, I think, to hit the game-winning field goal or whatever it was to win that game, right? So you had a rough game, but a good ending for the quarterback. The issue people had with him was like, man, he needs more reps against pressure. And Keith, I'm gonna tell you, I vehemently disagree that's going. That yes, you could be like, okay, as I talked about, the limited starting experience. You don't. What would Blake Miller say at the combine? He said, man, I started 54 games. I've seen everything a defense could throw at me at the college level. So that's one part. If you want to talk about experience, he may not have seen every exotic blitz and every simulated pressure to drop scenario and things like that. My thing, Keith, is the toughness in the pocket for him is where pressure starts getting home and you start hitting him. And I feel like that's when he kind of winces up a little bit and he doesn't play with the same level of confidence. I'll go back to my evaluation, Keith, and I'll never forget your face when I came on here and said Fernando Mendoza, my QB1, right? I'll never forget that look, Keith. Like, it's ingrained in my mind. He was just like, You serious? I'm like, yeah, man.
I still can't believe Fernando Mendoza went number one. Okay, so
Right. I don't think anybody can. I don't think anybody can, to be honest.
Indiana quarterback named Fernando Mendoza
won the Heisman, won national championship, and he went first overall. Talk about a career, like just a trajectory leaving Cal. But I go back to that game, Cal versus Auburn, and Auburn was getting pressure. His running back's getting blasted in pass protection. He's getting hit in his knee, and he still throws a dime of a back shoulder. And it's like that toughness we saw against Ohio State. Caden Curry rocked Fernando. What happened? He got up, went to the sideline. He was like, "I'm fine. Let me go back in this game." He went back in that game, and it's like boxing to me, Keith. Bud Crawford, one of my favorite boxers of all time. And Bud is similar to Floyd, counterpuncher, great defense. But Bud was so good at, you know what? I got to make this a fight too. Against Canelo, he was like, I got to give some to get the takes. I got to take some to give some. So I know I'm going to have to take a shot from Canelo, but you're going to take a couple shots from me. And from my quarterback, I need you to be tough in the pocket to know at the next level, everything's not going to be picked up. You might think that's a simulated pressure and we slid to the right side and then the defense wins. And now you got a guy free running, but you see your receiver. I need him to stand tall in the pocket, be tough, and deliver the ball. That's not a reps thing to me, Keith. That's a mentality. That's just a mentality of, hey, I'm going to stand 10 toes. I know I'm going to get hit. I'm going to take the hit. I'm going to throw this touchdown, right? Mendoza against Penn State. He know he's going to get hit. He jumps up in the air to avoid the hit on the ground to get the ball to Omar Cooper. And it's a game-winning touchdown scenario. You got to be able to stand in there and deliver. And I need to see him take that step forward this year. I don't think it's a reps thing where you say, hey, go back to school and get better. Drew Aller, Cade Klubnik, it's a long list of guys that we thought went back to school, and it was the right decision, Keith.
Yeah, no, I agree with DP. I want to flesh this out in terms of the grade we're going to give him, right? Like if that's a big concern, I know that factors into the overall grade that we're going to give him as a quarterback. So let's discuss that. Let's explain the grade and then talk about what to expect from Dante Moore with the Oregon Ducks going into the 2026 college football season and into the 2027 NFL draft. Let's discuss that coming up next.
Support for today's episode comes from Square, the business platform that helps sellers become neighborhood favorites. Whether you're gearing up for a busy season or just trying to keep up with the everyday demand, Square keeps your business running smoothly. From payments to online orders, inventory, staff, and more, all in one place so you can focus on your customers, not your to-do list. Square helps businesses simplify the day-to-day while still giving them room to grow. There's a place that I hit up all the time near me, and I always notice how fast, easy, and painless it is to pay. No fumbling, no waiting. Guys, that's Square. Square helps you run your business more smoothly, bringing payments, operations, and insights together in one place, so you're ready for whatever's next. Right now, listeners can get up to $200 off Square hardware when you sign up at square.com/go/lockedonnfl. That's SQUARE.com/go/lockedonnfl. Get started with Square and build a setup that works the way you do. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen of the day. And thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in America. It's all because of you explaining the grades, fleshing out this whole entire conversation about Dante Moore and whether or not what to expect from him going into the 2026 college football season. A lot of weapons returning and things of that nature, getting Evan Stewart back. That's going to be a big thing for this offense, Keith. What grade did you have for a guy that we thought would have been the second overall pick in the 2026 NFL draft?
Yeah, this was tough for me, DP. Going through this process of grading Dante Moore, and looking at the pros and the cons of what his game is. But I'll say the grade, and then there's a part from last segment that you mentioned that is part of my biggest concern. I gave him a late first, early second round grade. I think that's where he falls. The reason being where I leaned more early second was because what you talked about and the passion that you just displayed on this podcast, DP, about standing in the pocket and delivering the football. But in my opinion, DP, you outlined it as you either have it or you don't type of situation. And if that's not what you meant, that's how I received it, and that's also how I view it, in the sense of the fact of it's quarterbacks. You either have the toughness or you don't. You either have the willingness to stand in the pocket or you don't. Because I think when you have those milliseconds, when you have the opportunity to flinch and throw the football, flinch and kind of not be accurate and tuck your body and stuff like that, and not stand in the pocket strong and throw the football, or you have the opportunity to stand in the pocket and throw the football with confidence, knowing you're going to take the hit. Those milliseconds are so small, and it reverts back to natural instinct so much. I don't know if you can coach that, right? Like that's the concern I have, DP. Everything with Dante Moore, when we talked in the pros, like we said, like when you're talking about shorts and t-shirt, delivering the football, it's gonna look beautiful, right? It's the high pressured. I'm talking about high pressure blitz moments, right? Like people getting after you, you know it's coming, or maybe you don't even know it's coming, right? Like even pre-snap, you didn't get it, the picture, you didn't get it right? Or an offensive tackle lost a rep quickly because that's Myles Garrett on the other side. Myles Garrett with the Los Angeles Rams, right? Just crazy now. But he loses quickly, and then now you have a shot, right? Like you got that smash route that you can hit. But are you going to stand in the pocket and say, you know what, I'm going to take this hit and deliver the pass, or are you going to flinch and the ball is going to come up short? The corner sitting in cover 2, he's going to sink, and then it's an interception. So I gave him a second round grade. I'll be interested to see how this unfolds going into the 2026 season, because that's usually something you can't coach. But I wonder if he's going to decide to just improve on it and let it loose and say, you know what, this is what it is.
No, 100%. And I think, Keith, they have a lot coming back offensively, and I'm with you. You lost Emmanuel Pregnon. They lost Kenny Sadiq, right? And then especially on the offensive line with Pregnon, they lost Alex Harkey, who was starting right tackle. The starting left tackle, he's also in the NFL. Isaiah World.
Yeah, I was trying to remember.
Yeah. So you're replacing 3 starters from last year, right? Now you were flinching and not handling pressure, like. Again, when he can evade and reset and throw, that's what you want to see. But when you have to make, as we talked about, kind of stand and deliver those type of moments, you were struggling with that offensive line. Now you're replacing 3 starters. Heck, you almost lost a 4th in Lalalu. I think it's the center, but he decided to go back to school. Good. Yep. Like, as he's, what I'm saying, he decided to go back to school, and he's looking to be a first-round pick for this coming draft, the 2027 draft for next year. And I think that he should be projected to be one of the top 25 prospects, to be completely honest, because the dude can play. So shout out to to the head coach and the staff of Dan Lanning, them recruiting that kid back, because that was a big get for them to bring back, because the center is the quarterback of the offensive line. So now that you're replacing 3 starters on the O-line, you lose Jamari Johnson, super talented tight end. I think he's going to do well with Moore. Evan Stewart coming back healthy, to carrying Moore in year 2. They got multiple running backs, so they'll be able to run the ball, stuff like that. But in those moments in the Big Ten, what if you get a Michigan, get an Ohio State on the regular season? I don't know what their schedule looks like right now. I don't even know if they have the schedule up right now. College is so weird about their actual schedules. But like, if you're in a situation, Keith, where you're dealing with a team that can pressure you, you're going to have to stand in there. So I'm with you. My grade is a late first for him as well. And I know some people are like, wait, John Adam is a top 5. Yeah, we were grading them based on the class too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just on what it was. Like, hey, you get a little bit QB tax from your quarterback. All right. So,
and also the availability of other quarterbacks, DP. Like, just, you get what I'm saying? Like, there's scarcity of quarterbacks in this class. Like, it's going to move certain guys up.
And Keith, I just pulled up their schedule. I was right on the money. Oregon in November starts the November 7th. They get Ohio State in Columbus. They then the following week host Michigan. That's a wow. Okay. They start the season. They start out, they got Boise, Oklahoma State. So you get Drew Mestemaker at home. So you got to travel to Oklahoma State with I think they got a new coach. They got a new roster with transfers and stuff like that. You go to LA to face USC September 26th. You get UCLA at home October 10th with Nico Iamaleava and that team and everything. And again, that stretch of the 7th of November and the 14th of November, yeah, that's tough. That is very tough to go to Ohio State and then to welcome in Michigan, two teams that have NFL caliber prospects on both sides of the ball. Yeah, like, and if those teams are scoring too, like, if it's a shootout in a sense, what happens when they do start getting pressure? I just want to see him just get better with that, Keith. And I don't. That's why I was texting, texting one of our guys when the decision first happened. I said, "Hey," he's like, "Man, former quarterback." He's like, "No, I think he's gonna be fine. Like, he needs to go back, get that experience." I said, "No, I agree. Get the experience, right? It helps." But for his biggest issue, I don't know if it's going to change as much unless his mentality changes.
Yeah, and also too, I don't know if you felt the same way, and I'll say this before we wrap real quick. Him going back, and especially with now how this class is shaping out, I think he's one of those prime candidates that I could see fall into the second round for sure. Just because of what we highlighted in the concerns, and then if he can fix it or not, right? And then also he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be on that brink of over playing in college. And we talked about that with so many other guys, right? Where you almost give them too many data points to where they overanalyze.
Too much exposure.
Yeah,
too much exposure.
Yep, and they over scout you. So it'll be interesting, DP. I like after watching Dante Moore, I can definitely say when we talk about topics heading into the college football season, that I'm excited. He's one of the guys I'm excited to watch and see, like what happens with the growth.
He can end up being a Heisman winner, to be completely honest.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? He's talented enough to do it.
It can go from there. It can go from Heisman winner, top 5 pick, number 1 overall pick, to this guy maybe going the second round because there's some things that NFL scouts don't necessarily agree with or like about his game. So both sides are possible for Dante Moore. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. On tomorrow's show, summer scouting continues. We're going to talk about Ole Miss returning quarterback Trinidad Chambliss, another guy that people felt could have been a late first round pick in the 2026 NFL draft. He goes back to school. He's going back to Ole Miss to go for maybe a true first round grade for the 2027 NFL draft. So we'll break down the pros, the concerns, and explain the grade on tomorrow's show. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.